I kind of made an emphasis to call home pretty much almost every night or every other day or something like that. And now talking with those guys, it was pretty cool because they were kind of the same way. It was like every night call home. And then it was like, okay, maybe every other day, and then every 2 days, and then every 3 days. And then it's kind of, you call twice a week, and it's just a recap of the whole week.
Welcome back in, everybody, to another episode of To The Show We Go Baseball podcast. Today's episode, we have another Red Sox minor leaguer. Surprise, surprise there. But it's a little different this time. I know we've had a lot of the pitchers on. We've had a few of the position guys on as well. But today's episode, we got one of both. We have a two-way player, Conrad Cason. And Conrad was a member of the 2024 draft class by the Red Sox. He was an 8th-round pick. Out of the Atlanta area, actually, which I have some familiarity down there, so I will be asking you a question about that later. But Conrad, I know we spoke a little bit off air about you being down at the complex and kind of starting out your off season that way. But how are things treating you at the complex?
Yeah, no, things are going good. Especially having some older guys there, guys who have been in the system. I think we got 3 big leaguers down there too. So being able to talk to those guys, and then obviously the staff we got down there, they're one of one. They're absolutely awesome, amazing people, but just even better coaches. And so it's awesome to be down here.
So I've only ever driven through Atlanta. I don't really have the experience that Andrew has there. But how would you describe Atlanta to someone like me, or the suburbs of Atlanta, or whatever part of that area you're from?
Yeah. Well, first I'll tell you, not to scare anybody or not to scare you, Ed, but Atlanta's an hour away from Atlanta. You'll probably be sitting in traffic for a while if you hit the city traffic. So beware if you want to go some places, leave early or leave late, I guess I should say. But Atlanta's awesome, home. But the talent there, baseball wise, the connections you make with people playing. And people who don't play baseball, just people you see kind of in your everyday life, and friends, family, things like that. Atlanta's it's a very tight-knit city, and so it's amazing.
Now, did you grow up only playing baseball, or did you do any other sports?
Yeah, no. So I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, and then I ran track for a year.
So you've always been a pretty athletic kid.
Yeah. I would say so, for sure.
How did you land on baseball for the one that you would pursue professionally?
Yeah, it actually took me a while to decide, I guess you could say. So I put down track after my 7th grade year of middle school. And then I continued playing basketball my 8th grade year and football my 8th grade year, as well as baseball. And then my freshman year of high school, after that season was over, I kind of sat down with my dad, and I kind of just we talked about what we wanted to do, or what I wanted to do, and it ultimately came down to just focusing solely on baseball, and kind of I would say it worked out for the best. So
now, was your dad an athlete also?
Yeah. So my dad, he was born in Georgia but raised in Texas, and so he played football and he ran track there. He was better at football, but he was more successful in track. And so I know he won a state championship, or at least came close to one. And then in football, he was pretty good too. So,
do you have any brothers or sisters?
Yeah, I have 2 older sisters. The oldest one, Desiree, she lives in Arkansas with her family, and she grew up running track. So she made it to state all 4 years of her track career in high school. And then my other sister, they're both older than me, so I'm the baby. But my other sister, Skyla, she grew up playing basketball.
Gotcha. And was your mom into sports at all too?
Yeah. My mom, she played basketball growing up. She was from Jersey, or she's from Jersey, and met my dad in Texas, and then they moved over to Georgia, and kind of that's where we've been ever since. So.
Gotcha. So I guess I'm always a little curious about this. Like, how did they react when they realized, like, oh, our son, the baby of the family, has a shot to play professional sports?
Yeah, I think my dad for sure knew first. I would say my dad my dad, at least he knew that I could go to college for baseball. Probably, I'd say, or at least play at the next level when I was probably 14. Or I guess earlier than that, because when I was 14, I was a freshman in high school, and that's when I committed. So probably when I was 12 or 13. Definitely growing up, I've had some coaches who played professional sports. Most notably being Jamil Phillips, whose brother is Brandon Phillips. And so that family, I'm super, super, super close with that family. And so he's my hitting coach. And so training with him and just talking with him giving my dad pointers about what I could do, and ultimately like kind of pushing me and being the first coach to really push me and tell me that I could play at the next level. That's probably when my dad truly knew. And then obviously when I was my freshman year of high school, when I committed to Mississippi State, is kind of when my mom was like, oh yeah, you know, let's push for this a little bit further. And then, you know, my whole family kind of just supported me through high school and through the summer and everything like that. And ultimately my senior year of high school, it was really hectic, but it was like, this is a for sure reality and a for sure dream that can one day come true. And it came pretty true. So,
yeah. Wow. I mean, what do your folks do for work?
Yeah. So my dad's an engineer by trade, but now he works in sales for Broadcom. And then my mom, she works at the post office.
Gotcha. As somebody that also has an engineer dad, what kind of engineer?
That's a great question.
My dad's like very competitive about that for whatever reason. Like, so he's a chemical engineer, and I remember I was talking to Kristian Campbell, and he has a girlfriend who I guess was in like the aerospace engineering program. And that's like really high up on the engineering, like the tiers there. Like that's really high up on the hierarchy. But he like there are other engineers that he like looks down on though. So I was just curious.
No, yeah. So it's pretty fun. Like Christian's my roommate here.
Is he?
Yeah. So me and Kristian and Nazan, it's the three of us. Well, Antonio Anderson, he was here too, but
he's a super athletic pod you're in.
Yeah. No. It's a super athletic house. It's a super fun house too to be in. But Antonio went home kind of the second week we were down here. So he only stayed for 2 weeks, and then he went home. And then Nazan went home last week, and then now it's just me and Kristian. And I know me and him are both staying until we get sent home, which is in a couple weeks here. But you know, it's been fun talking to all those guys. But yeah, like Kristian was here, or his girlfriend was here. They had a fall break or something like that, and so she came down, and it was cool, like talking to her, and a couple Nazan's girlfriend came down too, and so it was super cool, and to like talk to everybody and see everybody in one space, and you know it was just super cool and super awesome. But yeah, no, I talked to her about her aerospace engineer because my dad was an engineer too, and we were kind of just going back and forth about that and how she got into that. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
You did kind of, I might make you repeat yourself. Sorry. When I was talking to you before we recorded, but I do want to ask about the roommates, obviously, since it was just brought up, but you know, having a guy like Kristian who did what he did in 2024 in the Red Sox system, and also having some Atlanta ties, being at Georgia Tech, and then also like, I'm not sure if you knew Antonio. I'm sure you did before, because with him being at Atlanta as well, but how have the roommates been like for you? And just like, obviously, like you kind of explained a little off air, just having Kristian there and just like kind of being like a guy that's kind of gone through the minors a little bit so far, and just being like a good guiding light for you. Like, I guess what has it been just having those guys there?
Yeah, no, it's been awesome, especially for Kristian. Obviously he went to college, so it's a little bit different. Him and I are, but to see what he did in 1 year, you know, because I don't think many people actually know, but he got drafted last year, and he went from high A all the way to AAA, and probably, you know, he's hoping to be in big league camp come spring training, and I'm sure he will be, and he has a chance to do some great things there. But talking with him and talking to Nazan and Antonio, who all had their full first year in the minor league affiliate year and doing all that stuff, it's been super fun, especially learning the challenges and humps you got to overcome. You know, when it comes to taking care of your body, that's kind of the most important thing, because your body is kind of your lifeline now. And so, making sure that's on point everywhere. But it's been super fun talking to these guys. But going back to Kristian, he's a Georgia Tech kid, so he's super smart in and of itself. And then you add the baseball, all the things he has when it comes to baseball knowledge. It's been super cool talking to him and learning from him and doing all that stuff. And so he's a super cool guy, super down to earth guy. And, pretty much every night we end up playing a video game, and we end up just sitting there talking for about an hour while we're playing and doing all that stuff. So it's been super fun. It's a super cool house to be in. And so I wouldn't replace it with anything.
I did want to ask as well, because two of your roommates with Nizan and Antonio are great examples of this, but, they were just 18-year-old kids getting drafted out of high school and going into their first year of pro ball. You were one of the youngest guys in the MLB draft this past year, getting drafted at 17, and you just turned 18 just a couple months ago. So what has it been? What's it been like being away from home for I'm guessing the first time in your life for an extended amount of time? And what has that experience been like for you?
It's been unique, I would say. The first kind of, I guess when we first get drafted, I stayed in Florida. So I stayed down here and played at the FCL League. I didn't go up to Salem at all. So it was super cool, but I kind of made an emphasis to call home pretty much almost every night or every other day or something like that. And now talking with those guys, it was pretty cool because they were kind of the same way. It was like every night call home. And then it was like, okay, maybe every other day, and then every 2 days, and then every 3 days. And then it's kind of, you call twice a week, and it's just a recap of the whole week. And so learning from those guys how it is, and, you're going to miss family for the first time because you're playing, they said by game 30, which is probably maybe 3 or 4 weeks of playing, the games add up. And, not every day, this isn't high school anymore. You're not going to hit 400, you're going to hit 230, then you're going to have a day where you hit 330. And so it fluctuates up and down. And being a high school kid with Antonio and Nas, it was kind of funny because they were like, you have a bad day, you get to go home, you get to see family. You have a bad day here, it's like you got to turn it around because the next day you're playing again. So you can't mope and you can't be down on yourself, so to say. And it's been super cool learning from them about how to just get over that hump and knowing that it's okay being away from home, because obviously everybody can travel. It's not hard. You just got to hop on a plane or drive somewhere, which is, easier said than done with work and all that stuff. But, family's always going to be there. You can always call whenever you need someone to. And then it's always pretty cool. Like they said, you got 30 different guys that are there all achieving the same goal you are. So leaning on those guys in the locker room, managers and all that stuff. So
I did want to. You preluded to this earlier in the podcast here, but I gotta ask you about this past year, your last year in high school. And you said this earlier too. It's like the amount of athletes in the state of Georgia is insane. They are a factory down there. I know Texas gets a lot of love for being like a lot of football, baseball, everything down there. Georgia is right up there. You were named the Gatorade Georgia High School Player of the Year. What was that like for you? I mean, obviously, the competition is good. I have some ties in Buford, Georgia, and I know that they are a powerhouse in their own right. So, being able to compete against schools like that and the players all around the state, I guess, what did that mean to you?
It kind of it meant everything. It meant the world. So it was pretty cool, especially at the time I was representing GAC and also representing Mississippi State. So that was super cool, and that was a lot of fun. But I think the biggest accomplishment for me from last year, winning Gatorade Player of the Year, was the fact that it wasn't just my name on that. It was just my name on that award, but all the things that tied into me doing what I did. Coach Lee at GAC, Coach Farley, and Coach Ferris, all those guys, all the other players on that team that kind of helped me and pushed me towards that goal. So it meant a lot. It was super important because, especially before the year too, I sat down with Coach Lee. It's pretty funny. He's from Tennessee and he played at Vanderbilt, and then he went to other places too. But he always says certain things that Coach Corbin would say to them, or he'd always bring that in. And one meeting we had before the year, he kind of told me one thing Coach Corbin said to him about just how much, it would mean for him to be a leader at the time. And he kind of had the same talk with me about, hey, this is kind of your team and it's your time to lead. And you have all these goals, but don't forget, it's one team, one family, one name. And so kind of taking that mindset in and not focusing on the season where it was like, I'm trying to focus and win just this one big goal, this one big thing. I was there kind of playing for the guys and playing for the school, and which was pretty cool. And then ultimately it led to winning Gatorade Player of the Year. So, winning that was super fun because it wasn't just for me. It was for a whole bunch of other people who contributed to me being in the spot that I was. So it meant a lot.
So you had committed to Mississippi State before you went to the Red Sox. Take me through draft day and how they were able to talk you into joining them instead of joining Mississippi State.
Yeah. Draft day, it was a long couple of days. Especially the funny thing is, so Mississippi State, you go to summer school kind of for a little bit, and then the draft is that next week. So for me, I went to summer school for a week, and then I came home about 3 days before the draft. And so it was me, my dad, and my mom. We were just sitting watching the TV, and day one goes by, and we pick Braden Montgomery and we pick Peyton Tolley, which was super awesome to see. And at the time, there were a couple teams that me and my dad and my mom thought that, we could go to, and it would play out in a certain type of way. And on the phone with my agent, which was super cool and super nerve-wracking too. Draft days is a super nerve-wracking day and doing all that stuff. And then day two comes around. And so watching the TV, I don't think I left my house day two. I think it started at 12. I think I stayed, I woke up probably 8 o'clock and my eyes were just glued to the TV the whole day. And so, God, I got to remember. I think we were sitting upstairs in the kind of the family room we have up there and just watching. And I got the call from my agent later in the day, kind of towards the 7th round. He was like, all right, we got the deal done. Be ready. You're going to the Red Sox. And so, you see that, and then it's like, all right, now you got to wait. And so waiting and seeing my name picked, and then ultimately getting on the phone with a couple of the guys here at Boston and just hearing them talk about their plan they had for me and seeing, their vision for me and what I could do for the team in the next couple of years. I thought that was super appealing. And then also just to start your pro career kind of for me 18 or for me 17, but 18 compared to 21 or 22, because you never know what could happen in college, a freak injury or, you just never know, coaching changes. So for me, I was processing a lot of different factors going into the day. And then ultimately just getting on the phone with the guys at Boston and then hearing what they had planned out for me and how I could help the team and their vision for the player that I can turn into. I thought that was super appealing. And then that ultimately was kind of my final decision to, call Coach Simonis and tell him that I was going to go with Boston instead of returning back to state. So
the story that I heard was that originally people were just looking at you as a pitcher. And then they had the combine and you did some hitting and they liked what they saw with that. How important for it was how important for you was it to be able to be a two-way player?
That was probably the most important factor, I would say. Like I said earlier, there were a couple other teams that, going back and forth with, obviously, and a couple of those teams, it was just pitching, which ultimately, if I would have got picked by those teams, I probably would be sitting in maroon and white right now at Mississippi State. But ultimately, Boston was kind of the only team, one of the only teams that I really, really talked to when it came to hitting and playing the field. And for me, that was kind of the most appealing factor, was what team would let me, kind of take the two-way path and not take something out of my hands. And so, especially sitting down talking with Boston at the combine, they were probably the only team that actually mentioned two-way and playing the field and hitting and pitching. And so for me, I was like, okay, if Boston takes me, I would want to think about this really, really for a long time and pretty hard on it. And then ultimately, it all worked out. And so.
So what does ever since you did get drafted and joined the Red Sox system, what does your what did your every day look like? Like, do you some days work with the pitching group, or in some days you work with the hitters? Like, I guess, how does that balance out?
Yeah. So every day it's everything pretty much for the most part. Now that we're kind of in the off season and, nobody's really playing. It's Monday through Friday here at the complex. So we have the weekends off if guys want to go home or do whatever. You have a full Saturday and Sunday, technically really Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we get done around 1:30 or so. But, get to the facility about 8 o'clock, 8:20, start the day at 8:30, do some, activation stuff, prep work for the day, and then start my day. First thing I do is go throw. So I'll long toss about, 150 feet, 120 feet, work on some pitches. And then depending on the day, we got speed work after that, or I go do infield. So I'll do infield stuff. And then after infield stuff, it's I go lift and then I go hit. And so pretty much that's my everyday thing. It's throw in the morning, go field, go do some speed work, then go lift and go hit. And that's kind of Monday through Friday for the past, I think, 4 weeks now. And then we got, I guess, 3 more weeks down here. And so that's what it's going to look like Monday through Friday for me. So it gets pretty hectic. It gets pretty tiring. But, that's all part of it. That's all part of the journey, all part of the process to kind of just be the best player that I can be. So I like it. I look forward to it. Like I said, it gets tiring some days, and there's some days I got to take longer breaks in between doing certain activities and doing certain things and stuff, because we all don't lift the same. One day we got an upper body lift and one day we got a lower body lift. So, if it's a lower body lift, I kind of take my time a little bit before I start, go hit in the weight room and stuff like that. But it's super fun. The coaches down here, they know what they're doing. I'm kind of the first two-way player Boston has had, so I'm kind of like the guinea pig, which is fun and which also kind of sucks because, you're doing everything for the first time. And so, but it's been super cool. Everybody's kind of having to take their own learning curve. The coaches, which kind of makes them better, and also it makes me better because, we find different ways to compromise on certain things, which is super awesome and super cool. So it's been a lot of fun, to say the least. But that's kind of my day, Monday through Friday, right there.
So you're by no means a short man, but this was a huge class. These are like 6'5", 6'6" guys, and you're like 6'1". Was that a little jarring when you first came in and met all the other draft picks, and you were like you had to look up a little bit to talk to them?
A little bit, especially I was the only high school guy taken this year, so for me that was kind of I'm already the baby of my family, and no matter what, I was going to step into a new team or new facility as kind of the young buck and the young kid. But then to realize we took no other high school guys. I was the only one, everybody else is 21 or 22 or 23. And so, it's kind of like I just brought in 20 new brothers. But like you said, just first day, I guess going back before the first day, my plane flight down here, I was with Cole Tolbert from Ole Miss. And he was wearing this Ole Miss backpack, and I kind of walked up to him. I was like, "You play baseball, don't you?" And so we kind of had our little conversation, our introductory conversation on the plane. And then we got off the plane, and I looked up and I was like, "Hey man, how are you?" Because he's a pretty big guy. He's about 6'3", 6'4", 220. And then Peyton Tolley, he's 6'6", I think 250. Brandon Clark, who's 6'5". And, so me, I thought I was tall in high school and before that, being 17 at 6'1", and then you see these guys, and it's just I just stepped into a whole new planet, looking up. Everybody I pretty much got to look up to, unless I wear some high heels or something like that. But, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool talking to those guys and seeing, what they did and what they did in high school and other things like that kind of helped them get as big as they are. But yeah, being the youngest kid and then also being the smallest kid, it's not fun. especially coming from a place where you were kind of the big dog, the tall, one of the tallest kids, one of the older guys. Even though I was 17 as a senior, you're still kind of older than the other guys on the team and stuff like that. But now just stepping into a new world and looking at all these guys who are just kind of a head above me, it's different for sure, but it's been cool. I love them all. But like I said, it's like bringing in 20 new brothers, which is pretty cool because I never had one. Had two sisters growing up. So it was always pretty cool. But now it's cool to have a couple guys that I can just lean on and talk to and stuff like that. So.
Were you just to backpack this one for a second, but were you a little nervous in the weight room on day one? Because we had Shea Sprague on, and he was kind of saying, he's like, yeah, I was lifting with Brandon Clark, and he is an absolute tank in the weight room. So was that like a wake up call for you too? Be like, okay, these guys live major league weights in here.
Yeah, a little bit. For me, it was an easier transition in the weight room. Shea being a pitcher is I absolutely love Shea. He's an absolutely great guy. But for me, it was a little bit different because we sent all of our college position players. We sent all of them to Greenville, and then we sent 3 pitchers to Salem. And so for me, I hopped in with the FCL guys, which was pretty cool. So I got to hop in with them. And so for the weight room, I wasn't around Peyton or Brandon or all those guys, which I was kind of thankful for. But those FCL guys, they can move their own weight too pretty well. And some of those guys they're 18 and 19 and stuff like that. So I kind of fit in with them a little bit better than kind of all the older guys. And so for me, day one in the weight room was pretty chill because I was with guys my age, and I ended up playing with the FCL guys and hopping in their season, which was awesome. Not great with Spanish, so it was kind of a learning curve there, but getting better at it. And so being able to talk to those guys was super fun. But now in the off season, lifting with I guess I'll go into that now a little bit. Now that we're in the off season, kind of everybody lifts together. And so seeing a couple of those guys work out, it's like, all right, let me back away a little bit, because, Peyton can move as much weight as he wants, and Brandon's, he's an absolute stud. And there's a couple other guys who are just absolute studs in the weight room and on the field. But yeah, for sure. Brandon Montgomery too, he's back from his ankle now. So him in the weight room too, it's awesome to see those guys lift and see what college can do for you, but then also seeing, what a pro strength coach can do for you too. So it's absolutely awesome.
I did also, I got asked to, I've read this in a couple different spots, and I like shouting out our friends over at SoxProspects.com. Don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make profiles for all the guys in the system. And they have on there that you've topped out on your fastball at 98 miles per hour before. What is that accurate? And I guess where are you? Where do you usually sit, like velocity wise?
Yeah, that's accurate pretty much. There was one game I hit 100. It was, I can't remember. I think it was against Cambridge this past year. But yeah, hit 100 there. But kind of was mainly living in that 98 range. I know there were a couple games I was sitting just 94, 96 and would hit 98 a lot. But kind of living in that 94, 96 range, which is a lot of fun in high school for sure. It'll be a little different here in the pros. Learning how I deal with a couple of things here and there, just changing pitch and delivery and motions and all that stuff, or facing pro hitters for the first time, use maybe a little bit more off speeds than I did in high school because I didn't really have to use it that much. And so seeing if that affects velo at all, or seeing how long it takes to get back velo if I end up throwing maybe 3 breaking balls in a row or 3 off-speed pitches in a row, and seeing how that adjusts, because obviously in high school it's kind of just all fastball, throw 1 changeup, throw 1 slider, fastball. And so you can't really do that here. And so kind of getting used to that and seeing how that changes. I was to test that in spring training, and then whenever it comes around. But in high school, I was pretty much sitting 94, 96, would hit 98 a bunch of times. And then I hit 100 one time this past year. So
That's I know what Ed was kind of laughing earlier because you were like, it's kind of cool, but a 17-year-old hitting 100 miles per hour, like that is absolutely. Do you realize that that's like not normal?
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. I think after that game, we there were a couple of parents or the way our field's set up, it's super cool at GAC. We just got it, or I guess this past year, so my senior year was the first year. So pretty much like the first week of January, they finished the whole field, but we got it completely turfed out. But our stands are, it's like 360, kind of starting from the dugouts and going in. And so you got the scouts sitting kind of on the lower part on the field, and the parents are sitting up there. And kind of, I think when I hit 100, a couple of the parents, like, because the scouts reacted, and a couple of parents overheard them say I hit 100. And so after the game, it was pretty cool to, I think my dad was the first one to tell me that I hit 100. And then there were a couple other parents that were like, you hit 100. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And so at the time, I think it was Eli Hanna, who was a senior, and a couple other guys there with me. We were all there around whenever a couple more parents said that I hit 100, and we all kind of reacted, which was like, that's pretty cool. And I think in the moment when we first heard it, we were like super doled out about it. And then we got to the parking lot to our cars. We were like, I really hit 100. Like, that was super cool. And we kind of like all had a little laugh about it and a go about it. Cause on the team, I was the youngest kid in our senior class. And so it was pretty funny about everybody's just clowning me like, you're 17, right? And I was like, yeah, a little bit. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I know that it's not normal, but I think we might want to expect a little bit more of it, the way, some of these other kids are looking. There's like I think a 14-year-old who already hit 93 or 95 somewhere, and it's just absolutely insane. It's like this is crazy. In a little bit, I think everybody's going to be sitting 100 miles an hour before we know it. And the game of baseball is going to change a lot more. So.
Now, you're a shortstop also, like on top of all of this. Something that I've always been a little bit curious about. So when you're pitching and the shortstop gets the ball hit and they botch the play, because it's going to happen. Are you harder on them because you're a shortstop and you know what they've been through with that and like everything that goes into it? Or are you harder on them because you know that like you could have made that play if they had just gotten to it a little faster, if their first step had been a little bit better? Like, do you find that you're more or less lenient on other shortstops?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm both. For sure. It's like, I think if it's a hard play, like, there's going to be hard plays that it's like in the moment you're like, dang, I really wish you made that play. And then like you get the ball back and you realize it was like, all right, wait, that was a pretty hard play. So I think in the moment, always like every pitcher is going to react. So like I've reacted to like, I think a squibbler hit to second base and it's like spinning sideways and like in the second baseman like bobbles the ball. And I was like, there's no way you can make that play. Like the ball's spinning 1,000,000 miles an hour at a sideways direction and you're running forward on it. Like you're going to miss the ball. And so like in the moment, I'm like, we got to make that play. Come on, you got to do this and that. And then I get the ball back and I realize, all right, time out. Like that was a pretty hard play. You're not going to make them wall. I think I realized that more my senior year than any other year of high school. It was kind of just one of those things where it was like, I was like, took a different approach to like the way I wanted to lead my senior year a little bit too, and be a little more vocal, but also be like better positively with my outward reaction and kind of my body language and stuff like that. So I think my senior year I did probably the best job when it came to like guys making errors or things like that, because we didn't make many as a team my senior year. I think the whole year, I don't know, it was probably less than 15 as a team my senior year, which is incredible. I think that's pretty awesome. When you think 21 outs and we played 36 games my senior year.
Yeah, I mean that's wild for high school. Like that would be pretty wild for like the minors too, where the defense isn't as good. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, so it was like 15 errors the whole year, and it was like they came in a bunch of, maybe we had 3 or 2 one game or something like that. And so like, it was good because I think I didn't react as much as I did my senior year, because it was kind of that realization is like, you're not going to make every single play you get. It's impossible. You're just not, it's not going to happen. And so, realizing that and kind of taking that mentality to the mound is like, let your defense work, but also knowing that they're not going to make every single play. And even in the big leagues, like you're not going to make, or minor league and pro bowl and stuff, like you're not going to make every single play. If there's an error, you got to kind of get the ball and do your job on the mound. Or it's going back to like, if I'm playing short, so it's like, if I bobble the ball, it's like, I'm going to get another one that game. So not letting that one ball kind of affect me. And so kind of when it comes to that, like just letting errors go and not really thinking about it too much and just focusing on the job at hand, which is getting a batter out or making the next play and doing all that and not kind of soaking on that ball that got missed or something like that. So I would say I probably have a looser reaction now to guys making errors, whereas I was pretty hard, but now it's like, all right, it's okay.
All right, Conrad, we're getting to a part of the show here where I like to throw a little curveball at you and
lightning round.
Yeah, find out some things not on the baseball field. Get to know you a little bit, what you are off the field. So if you have an off day, like say your Saturdays and Sundays, what do you like to do for fun? Like what would you be doing on a day off?
Yeah, me and Kristian, I guess now, because it's now just me and Kristian, probably go mini golfing or something. Go to putt-putt. Or for me, I'd probably just drive up to Naples. We got a mall in Naples that Nazan introduced me to. Go up there, maybe go hang out around the beach a little bit. Go fishing. That's kind of a big one now. Gotten a little bit into that. But kind of just chill, take it kind of a slow day. Kind of Saturday's the one day, I guess Saturday and Sunday or the weekends you get to rest. So probably optimizing my rest, sleep in a little bit, drive up to the mall, come back, go eat, come back, watch a movie, come back, or watch a movie, go to sleep, wake up, watch another movie or something like that. So it'll be a pretty chill day. I don't know. I'm like, now that I've been down here, I've kind of become a movie fanatic. So
okay.
I'll go to up to the Regal Bell Tower and just watch kind of a couple movies, maybe 2 movies in a day or something like that. Or just any new movie that comes out, kind of ask a couple guys if they want to go. Or I've ended up going to the movies by myself like 2 or 3 times down here just because I've been so bored.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you have so much downtime. It's kind of just like, what do you do? Go see a movie, kind of kill some time and things like that. So, off the field, I'd say I'm a pretty chill guy, pretty low key.
There any movies that you really like?
Yeah, the last Venom that just came out, that one was pretty good. I think Inside Out 2 was pretty good.
Oh, it was solid, yeah.
It was solid. It was solid. For me, I'm not a huge. I'll get into it a little bit. I didn't like the first Inside Out, but the second Inside Out.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I thought the first was better than the second, but it's all right.
Really, I mean, mixed opinions for sure, but I didn't like the first one that much. But then the second one, I kind of liked a little bit better, and I was like, all right, this is pretty cool.
What did the second one do differently? I guess that you liked it because I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one.
Ooh,
but,
can't
so
spoil it
what
then.
The second one did differently.
Yeah. See, I don't want to spoil it for. I think. I think for sure, like kind of just introducing new emotions. It's just pretty cool. But then also it's kind of the realization of like, I don't know how old I was when the first one came out, but like I was a little kid when the first one came out, and like Riley was a little kid when the first.
Oh, I see.
And I'm out of high school now. I'm not in college, I guess.
You're of college age.
Yeah. There we go. Of college age, and now that Riley's like she's a teenager now, and so it's kind of like the correlation. I was like, as a kid, I was like, this isn't really cool, and now that I realized, I was like, I see what they did here, So I think that, and then also like just introducing the new emotions was pretty cool. And so
That's good to know. I'll have to go see that now.
It's a good movie for sure.
It's also like one of those, like, it makes you feel good. My wife had me watch the first one, but right before we watched the second one, and it was pretty good. I will admit that.
It boosts you a little bit if you're having a mediocre day, you go watch Inside Out 2. You'll start feeling good a little bit.
All right, so we talked about movies a little bit. You watching any good shows lately? Are you like a Netflix or any of those streaming services type of guy?
Yeah. I'm on Netflix a lot. I'm on Disney Plus a lot too. Kind of all my friends back home know this, and the guys here they're starting to know it. But I'm like I'm just a big little kid, so like I'm on Disney Plus a lot, watching Star Wars or something like that. Like on Netflix. I don't know what I've been watching on Netflix. I watched The Comeback, the 2004, which was awesome. A couple documentaries here and there. I'm really on. I'll tell you this. I'm on YouTube a lot, watching the Sean Ryan show.
Okay.
That podcast with Sean Ryan. He's a former vet, and he brings on other vets and other people. In the country and things like that. Just watching his show, it's pretty cool. It's on YouTube, the Sean Ryan show, which I like a lot. And so that's kind of what I do to kill some time. So
as I'm pretty into Star Wars also. So I'm just gonna ask favorite movie, original trilogy. So we're not going to include like Solo or those ones. It's just let's not say original trilogy. Let's say like the 9 Skywalker saga.
Yeah.
And favorite Jedi.
All right. We'll do favorite Jedi. Got to go Anakin Skywalker. And then I'll throw in Yoda a little bit. My dad does a really good like Yoda voice, and so when I was a kid, it was like if I did something stupid, he'd talk to me in like a Yoda voice a little bit, which is super cool, super fun. I thought that was like the best thing in the world as like an 8-year-old kid. And then favorite. Might go. Dang, put me on the spot here. Because I wanted to say Return of the Jedi, but that's one of those in between. I think Attack of the Clones is pretty good.
I love Attack of the Clones too. When Yoda like busts out his lightsaber, and just starts leaping around like a frog gymnast. Like that was. I think I saw that in 7th grade. I saw that movie 3 times in theaters as when I was of the right age to do that. That's funny. Did you know the guy who voiced Yoda, Frank Oz? Are you familiar with the Muppets at all?
No.
Okay. If you ever see the Muppets, he's also the voice of Ms. Piggy.
Okay.
Same guy.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty awesome.
And I got 2 food questions to end us on, unless you got something before. You already know it's coming.
Oh, of course I know it's coming. It's my favorite. And you're from Georgia, so you're gonna have some good answers for this.
I am excited about that. I don't know, but I've heard from some birdies out there in the complex that that people are tipping off some of our guests on what the questions are now. So have you been informed of what the food questions are that we ask?
I have not been informed.
Okay. All right, we're good. So you don't know about our unofficial sponsor on the show?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, cool. All right, so I've been asking this question to literally every single guest. You're from the great state of Georgia, so I have a lot of faith in you on this one. So no pressure, but they are an unofficial sponsor of the show. But let's say you're hungry and you want some lunch and you want to go to a fast food, and it's got to be a fried chicken place, and every single place is an option. Every single place you got right in front of you. Where are you going?
Oh, man. This is hard because people back home know my favorite fast food chicken place. But I honestly, I don't know. I'm gonna go Zaxby's.
Let's go.
That's a W for Parker. That is a W for Parker.
There we go.
I'm gonna go Zaxby's because Zaxby's is my favorite one.
Okay.
But for me, I think Zaxby's is like a full-on like complimentary meal. It comes in a big box. So fast food,
My language.
like Zaxby's is fast food, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I'm not putting it in the fast food category.
Okay.
And just because it's so much food. Like, it's like if I couldn't do Zaxby's, I'd do Chick-fil-A 1,000%. Like Zaxby's is my favorite. Right next to it is Chick-fil-A. Cane's is nowhere close to any of that. So for Cane's can't compete to Zaxby's. I'll say that for sure. But Zaxby's is my favorite through and through. Everybody back home knows that. But for me, I don't classify Zaxby's as fast food because we get so much food for very little, which Zaxby's, please don't change your prices. We love it.
Interesting.
It's almost like calling it fast food is disrespectful.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'm on board with it. I'm not arguing with it at all. I mean, they're the unofficial sponsor of the show. So
let's go. Hey, that right there, I hope I get a sponsorship from Zaxby's.
We're going to play that clip. We're going to
play
that clip.
Please.
The problem
is,
Conrad.
Question. I do have one question for you before we do the second food question, because it's something that I always ask and I completely forgot to. Are you a Braves fan, like growing up in Atlanta?
Yeah.
Who was your favorite player growing up?
Probably going to be Freddie Freeman. And so to see him kind of hit that walk-off home run, like I was jumping up and down. I was screaming. And so just to see him kind of hit that ball, which was super awesome. But yeah, growing up, Freddie Freeman was kind of my guy. And then as I got older, playing shortstop, and then my high school coach, like I said, was from Vanderbilt, which is kind of bittersweet because the year he left was the year they won the national championship. He transferred out, and Dansby played shortstop.
Swanson, yeah.
Dansby, who's Marietta, Georgia guy. I know him a little bit personally. I've ran into him a couple of times with him training in the off season, or him being back home after a season, and kind of me getting ready for a season. So I've seen him kind of do what he does, and he made a YouTube channel kind of documenting like what he did in the offseason a little bit. And so I watched that, but him being a Georgia guy and then going to Vanderbilt, and my coach being going to Vanderbilt, and then him playing for the Braves, which was pretty cool. So as I got older, it was still Freddie, and then it became Dansby a little bit. So they kind of mushed. So yeah, those two guys probably growing up for sure, but Freddie Freeman really, really grown up. I would say Freddie Freeman for sure.
Yeah, Freeman's my favorite player to never play for the Red Sox. I you just watch him play. There's nothing that he doesn't do. Look, he stole 23 bases last year as like being as like big and hulking as him. Like it's incredible.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel old, Ed, that he said
yes,
Freddie?
100%.
Okay.
100%, yes. But listen, like I already know whenever I say my favorite all-time player, Nomar Garciaparra, Kristian Campbell didn't know Nomar went to Georgia Tech. So like that made me feel like truly old.
Hey, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know that either. But to be fair, I didn't go to Georgia Tech, so
yeah, and you didn't grow up a Red Sox fan. Like you're from around there, so why would you know that like where the star shortstop of the Red Sox from like the 90s and early 2000s played? Like you shouldn't know that, but it just makes me feel old now.
Can I at least ask just one follow-up on that? Do you at least know who like Tom Glavine and John Smoltz and all those guys are?
Yeah, it's funny enough. John Smoltz is John Smoltz's daughter was the volleyball coach at GAC, so she won 2 state championships as the head coach, and at the GAC, like athletes there, at least in my class growing up, since we were freshmen all the way till we were seniors, and really before that, because kind of the core group of our like athletic senior class from GAC, we all been together since elementary, all the way, and then we went elementary, middle school, high school, all the way together. So it was pretty fun. So we were all super tight, close-knit group. And so we go to volleyball games and we're cheering on them, and then you turn to your right and you just see John Smoltz in the stands. And it's like, do you freak out? Do you do what he did? Because like it's John Smoltz a little bit. And so kind of after games, I would go up and talk to him. And then obviously me being kind of the player I was in high school, I would have very, very long talks with him. And he showed and told me a couple of tricks, which I thought was awesome. And I use them a little bit here and there. I used a lot this past season playing. It's pretty cool. But yeah, so his daughter coached at GC and won a couple state championships there, which was super awesome. But yeah, so I wouldn't say like I have a personal relationship with him, but like I kind of have a personal relationship with him. And so it's pretty cool. But yeah, so I know who all those guys are. Absolute legends.
I figured it was kind of a joke, but I was like, maybe. But all right, I got one last question to end it on. You've given us like a ton of your time. Appreciate that. But this one's an important one. I don't know if you've bumped into Max Carlson down there at the complex, but he signed off on this one. He says it says a lot about somebody based on how they answer this, and I tend to agree with him. So you got 3 of your fingers, and in those 3 fingers, you can have 3 sauces, and you can only have those sauces for the rest of your life, and you can't have any other sauce ever again. What 3 are you choosing? You didn't see that one coming, did you?
No, you guys might be very disappointed in me, but I'm a very, very picky eater, and I'm not a sauce guy at all.
Really?
All right. Well, I can adjust it if you need me to, because I have another version of this.
I mean, no, I'm not a sauce guy, but if we put syrup in the category of sauce,
yeah,
if we're including that's like breakfast sauce. That's what syrup is. Breakfast sauce.
Yeah.
That's fine.
All right,
we'll buy it.
See, Ed's over here bending the rules a little bit. I'm liking this. So, all right, first, the best syrup on planet Earth goes to Miss Butterworth.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm with you.
Thank you. All right, here we go.
I grew up on that stuff. Yep. The
second best syrup on planet Earth is Aunt Jemima's.
I don't know if I've had that one.
So I think they changed the name of it too. I don't know what it's called, but I think they changed the name of it, but it still tastes the same. And, it's good. Both of those 2. 1, 2 on planet Earth. Best syrups are for me sauces. Number 3, this is my favorite breakfast spot in the whole world. So if you guys come down to Florida for spring training or anything like that, text me. We'll go here. Third best, Crackle Barrel syrup.
Ooh, okay.
I think those 3 right there, best 3 syrups on planet Earth. So if people disagree or agree with me, appreciate those who agree, those who disagree. I think they're the best. So those 3 for sure. But yeah, I'm not a sauce guy. I don't eat no ketchup, no mayo, no mustard, no Chick-fil-A sauce, no Zax sauce. I know. I don't know what it is, but I'm just not a sauce guy. So it's not appealing to me or anything like that. But yeah.
So I respect that you're a syrup connoisseur, but what I am going to say is that if you're eventually at some point going to be playing in the Northeast, you're going to play for Portland. If big leagues, you'll get to go up to Toronto at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Try some Canadian syrup. Just try it and get back to me on what you think of it.
All right,
Vermont, yeah. Like if you're in Vermont, just I'm not judging anything. I'm not judging anything. I just want you to try it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, all right, I will for sure.
It sounds like Ed's sleeping on the barrel, man. The good old Cracker Barrel. My wife loves Cracker Barrel, so we actually just had it like last week, and just randomly she's like, I want to go. I was like, all right, never gonna say no, man. Don't sleep on the barrel.
Yeah. Every time I go back home, like if I can go eat breakfast with my parents and it's Cracker Barrel, or if I can, I'm hanging out with friends doing whatever, and we decide to meet up in the morning for something, it's like, let's go eat at Cracker Barrel. And it's always a yes. Or it's IHOP, one of the 2 or things like that. Or, Waffle House never disappoints at.
Oh, love waffle. And they don't have that in the Northeast. So that's like a treat anytime I'm like,
nope. Yep.
South of Pennsylvania. They don't have that up here. It's terrible.
It's a Georgia staple, I will say that. All right, Conrad, you gave us almost an hour of your time, my man. I feel like we could be talking for another like half hour. We'll have to have you back on at some point.
For sure.
But we appreciate all the time, and we want to thank you so much for hopping on.
So much.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me on. I think this was absolutely fun, and like you said, I mean, in any time, text me or whatever. I'll send you my number on Instagram and all that stuff. But yeah, next time for sure, talk a little bit longer, have another pod for sure, because this was a lot of fun. So